Ой, это же очень долгая загрузка будет сейчас. Прям можно поиграть в мобилку. У меня на такие случаи есть ферма. Так. Па-па-па-па-па-па. Тройнинг. Басик флит. Попкорн. Мне не из чего делать попкорн. Так, сейчас мне тут надо в мобилку теперь доиграть. Извините, я занят. Да, блядь. Так, короче, это я все читал. Читал. Так, значит. Ой-ой. Так. А что не так? Почему? странно. Так, throttle plus pitch, you'll are the main controls you'll need to master for successful crash-free flight. We'll skip over throttle control for now. It's also good to keep in mind as stage serves the ship it rest of flight controls. Так. Notice the stage indicator in the lower left corner. It shows the currently active stage. Instead, it's showing the first stage as active. Вижу. I have your straight controls locked for now, so stage indicator is glowing purple. Вижу. One more thing on staging. If the staging setup is causing strife, не знаю, or you change your mind about something, you can edit the stage. Это я понял. On the fly, pun intended, no need to go back. Понимаю. An important part of fly is knowing how your ship is oriented and where it is going. That's why good pilot is always aware of the ship's attitude, where it is pointing. Значит, attitude это куда мы смотрим. Attitude. Допустим, жалко, всегда вот так в скобочках нельзя вот эту приписку навсегда сохранить, блять. And its velocity vector, where it is going. Velocity, вектор движения. Значит, не знаю, какого придумать attitude, но velocity, все понятно. These aren't always the same direction. Понимаю. And as your skills improve, you should pick up on this. And as your skills improve, you should pick. Ну, допустим, я понял. Предположим, дядя, что ты гонишь? Так, мне тут чуть-чуть надо отвлечься. Так у меня есть попкорница. Ну тогда точно надо замереть ненадолго. Так. Шайбу. Хуя, свинья стоит $500. Так, 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 так. Ну и все. Так. Так, па-па-па-па-па-па. The big round instrument on the lower center. The big round instrument on the lower center on the screen is called the nav ball. Окей. Navigation ball. Это понятно. This device sums up the most of the critical information needed for proper jet-free flight. Предположим. Here you see the ship's nose in relation to the horizon. When you're not pointing straight up, it's easily visible as a line between blue sky and the brown ground, as well as heading compass bearing. Ну, я, предположим, понял. Понял. You also get several icons that indicate things like your current velocity vector, but we'll have a look at those later. Ну, предположим, что later. In the top center part on the screen you have your altimeter, vertical speed indicator and atmosphere glasses. Вижу скорость, да, GeForce, да, это не то немножечко. The altimeter will show the distance to the planet's surface at sea level. This means the actual surface may be much closer, so watch out for the ground when landing. Your vertical speed indicators show how quickly your Stop. In the top center. Я не в туда смотрел. Your vertical speed indicator shows how quickly your altitude is changing. When launching, it's considered best to keep this gogi pointing up. Вот это вот гоги. Что такое гоги? Так, мне слово гоги вот это вот интересно. Измерять. Измерение, так полагаю. Короче, предположим, the atmosphere indicates how deep the ship is in the planet's atmosphere. Let's help you know how many without losing speed. In the straight step you can see the indicator for your parachute. This indicator shows when the chute will be activated by staging. You already know that, but the background will also change color to indicate when it is safe to stage the parachute. In the foreground, the parachute bit of the icon itself will change color depending on the parachute state. However, that by default parachutes will not deploy when unsafe, even if um, ну, предположим, что я понял. And you'll be cleared for launch at any time. You may press to pause the game. In the pause menu, you can restart the flight or end this tutorial. Choose for now, get yourself prepared and create when ready to launch. Don't forget our hopper, only hopper, has only a solid rocket motor, so there is no throttle control. That's why we didn't review the throttle there. Here, make sure to fly in a nice high arc and enjoy the flight. Getting there, Lewis. 3, 2, action. And up you go. You can try practicing some controls we just discussed. Ой, я не подумал об этом. Also keep an the parachute icon in the training list that shows you how safe the current. Once it goes red, it won't deploy until it's clear again, even if you stage it. I'm sure you'll manage to get used to it. Окей. Что такое реферс плейс? Не скажу мне сейчас, допустим, зачехлять. Что такое нажал я, интересно, реверс флайт? Ну, по идее, реверс. Так, он крутится. Так, Mayday, what the fuck is that? Там это... Не понял я, почему так раскрутился жестко. Блять, ничего не понял. Еще раз хочу. Почему он так раскрутился, и мне не остановить это кручение слова совсем. Я был уверен, что я выбирал другую наклеечку. Да и перекрашивал его белый. Блять, на включенном двигателе надо было попробовать в другую сторону повернуть. Где луна, где луна, где луна, где луна? Так, 12 тысяч. Чуть не завтыкался. Теперь все понял. Так, я хочу сделать возвращаемую ступень в то же место, откуда взлетел. When you're landed on or splashed on carbon and not in training. You can move the cursor just above the altimeter and press X on the recover button on the panel that slides down to ask to be picked up. I've also unlocked the crew hatch, so if you feel like going out for a walk or swim, you can change cursor mode pressing L3 and then pressing crest on the EVA extravehicular activity button that will где это button? Extravehicular activity. That will pop up when you move the cursor over the portrait. Да, я так и подумал именно про нее. Of the curve, if you want to take for a walk, you can do it just for fun or to collect surface sample. This concludes today's lesson. To exit training, you press крестик to access the pulse menu and choose a scenario. I hope. Thanks that much. Let me try. Нет. Eva. Let's go climb out board. You call this let's go? Земная гравитация. Так, это ходить. Это прыгать. САС. Hide portrait. Enable. Disable. Enable. Select an app. Open map. Oh yeah. Это прекрасно. Предположим, как мне вернуться обратно? Anybody help me? Thank you. Okay. Здесь не хватает. Здесь такая сила притяжения. А почему, кстати... Да, не хватает. Подожди, или отрывай зимой. Нет, не отрывается. Понял, принял. Надо на Луну. Надо лететь на Луну. Так. Famous rocket scientist Werner von Kerman himself. Окей. Не знаю, что это. Давайте сразу к делу. Даже как бы наклон. Вот, спасибо. Сложновато немножко. Надо подпривыкнуть к такому управлению, но это обзорное. Хотя там тоже так работает. Ближе он не дает. Понял. Прикольно, прикольно. Ну, все равно достаточно близко в случае. Окей. Интервап. Это здесь. Vehicle Assembly. Центр вертикальной сборки, да. Here we are again. Now to business. If you remember, in our last construction tutorial we covered how to build a simple hopper and some the basics of the construction area. In this tutorial we'll expand your knowledge of some of the more useful features in the web, and we'll build a more complex craft that will be able to get us out of the atmosphere. Oh. To build our new design. Может мне сразу... Okay. To build our new design. Okay. Let's start with the craft we built in the basic construction tutorial. So this one is just called hopper. This will save us a little bit of time, and the accounting department is always happy when we save on time. Крайне забавно. Open pause menu. Select open craft button and load the hopper and remove its anti-free motor. Он назывался не хоппер. Я сохранял не хоппер. If you mess up, you can recreate the craft from the part list by placing a pot first, then a parachute on top. Note that throughout this tutorial I will leave all parts you need available to be placed. If you delete the craft file somehow, close the load dialog and open it again, and the craft will be back. Close the load dialog. Понял. Я сначала не понял, потом как понял. Unlike last time, we won't be bringing the whole vessel back, so we can change our parachute stats from what we used before. In cursor mode, press quadratic on and verify that its deployment altitude is set to 1000 метров as last time, but also set the minimum pressure slider at the way to the right 0.75 atmospheres. That corresponds to an altitude on Kerbin of about 2 kilometers and means a much shorter time hanging around during this descent. Предположим, но не то чтобы я понял. Естественно, понял. First off, let's change the name of our graph and the description if you want, so that we still have our trash can special for For this graph we are going to give the ship some additional purpose by attaching a science experiment. We can run these experiments during our travels and get valuable science data for careable kind. There are a number of science experiments to be performed, but at the moment we only have the mystery goo contained unit available. Switch to the science tab to look at it. This one on the most basic experience scalable science have. This is one of the most basic scientific experiments careable scientists have devised, and one of the first things they want to try and understand better. I mean, they don't even know what color the goo is. Mystery goo. When you pick up the part, you will see that it's designed to attach for sides of other parts. Radially. Ну, radially значит снаружи, короче. If we... Или как, нет, не снаружи, по-другому, то, что они к другим цепляются. Допустим, if we attach only one of these, then during flight our craft will be unbalanced. One way to solve this is add an extra glue container on the opposite sides of the rocket so they balance. Luckily, we have a symmetry tool for help there. Vision. These buttons control symmetry, highlighted, and angle snap, предположим, and can be found in the lower left of the screen. Open the radial menu pressing треугольник and select change symmetry count. Set this to radial 2 and then pick up and place a mystery glue containment unit. On the side of the pod near the top, you will notice that a second one has been placed opposite the first by the symmetry tool. If you had already placed a long canceller, pick it up and make sure symmetry is very correctly and place it again so that it has a duplicate on the other side. Remember to place the containers near the nose of the pod. Что-то какая-то наебанька произошла, не понимаю почему. От слова совсем. Но через треугольничек что-то не работает, как они мне говорят. Его верни обратно. Что такое тогл торку? Ой. Актив, наверное. О. Окей, я набаловался. Выключить это. If we add too many more parts, here the craft we're making will be too heavy to survive re-entry safely and too heavy to be slowed by our parachute, leading the sudden impact syndrome. So we will need to add the coupler below the pod. The couplers can be found in the coupling tab and will let us split the craft when we no longer need to the lower parts. Decoupler, разделитель. Не понял. Так. We won't be able to recover the discredited parts, but at least our craft and our cargo will survive for re-entry and landing. Decouplers can be used in many ways, but for now let's just add one of these to the bottom of the pot. Go to the coupling and grab TR18A. Гроплинг. Коплинг, точнее. Гроплинг, ага. Гроплинг, все понятно. Кстати, есть смысл это вообще повернуть как-то? Как его развернуть ко мне? Ладно. Надеюсь, он мне в процессе объяснит. Так. Note that stick decouplers have arrows. The arrows show which side is the side that decouples. Make sure your decoupler arrow is pointing up towards the pot. It will be default. Ага. Уёбок конченый. Well done. You'll recall, I hope, that the previous tutorial we had... Да, все правильно. To adjust the staging stack when we added the engine to our earlier rocket. When you add the coupler, the extra stage is automatically added to the stack so that any new parts below the decoupler won't be staged at the same time as those above it. Лучше, чтобы я еще разок правильно понял тебя, нигер. When you add a decoupler, the extra stage is automatic to the stack, okay? So that any... Ай, блять, джойстик, сука, извини. Да. Это было больно. So that any new parts below the decoupler won't be staged at the same time as this above it. Ну, логично. You can of course still move, ну понятно, as you go. If you want to return the full staging setup, press reset button at the bottom of the staging stack. А где-то, вижу. Крестик. Так, this time we're going to use liquid parallelepiped. Liquid propellant, rocket engine. Unlike solid rocket motors, these engines don't carry their own propellants with them, so we need to add some fuel tanks. Go to the fuel tanks tab. We are still using these early parts. So these are only FL test available. This is another area like engines where advanced trains bigger and Ничего не... Вот сейчас вообще не понял. This is another area, like engines, where advanced brings bigger and better parts. А, понял. Так, это Ингенгес, Fuel Tankes. Тунге, Чуинчуге. We're going to need 5 of these. Зря сюда, наверное, задвинул. Вот так. Фу, сука, что надо нажать? А, вот так. 5 of these tanks to get us to space. Before you grab 5 tanks from the part toolbox. So, let me give you another tip. Because if frequency is my middle name, it goes like after vom. Какая шутка смешная. Once you place the first tank on the rocket, you can duplicate that by holding the quadratic button and pressing on the tank with крестик. You can do this on the bottom tank a few times and quickly get 5 of these attached without having to go back to the toolbox. And we can proceed. Let me try. Жмака квадратик, крестик. Не угадал. А, нет, что-то не так. Во-первых, вот это надо выключить. Отлично. И вот тут я прям угадал. Так, вот тут квадратик батом. А, вместе? Нет. Так, еще раз нажал на квадратик. Тогда еще раз. Once in first tank on the rocket, you can duplicate that by holding квадратик and pressing on the tank with квадратик. То есть я держу квадратик и крестик. О. Что-то я их забыл считать. Стой. Раз, два, три. Подожди. Да стой, блядь. Раз, два, три, четыре, пять. По-моему, предостаточно. Вот это. Нет, стой, верните. Крестик. Good. Стой, я знаешь, что хочу? Дайте мне его перекрасить, блядь. Я видел, что так можно делать. Вот тут можно. Это он white такой? Это я не то пытаюсь перекрасить. Ого. Нахуй черных. Ой. Так, а почему я не могу сделать того же самого с командным модом? Я же его сейчас продам нахуй. Ладно. Good, да? Так, отлично. Good. Switch over to the engines tab now. The Swivel engine. Он так и называется, правда? Ёпта мать. The swivel engine you see here is obviously different from the FLIA we used before. This is liquid engine and it needs and burns both liquid fuel and oxidizer. funnily enough, that's we just added to the rocket. Предположим, я понял, ну иди нахуй. Attack to the to the bottom of the rocket. Stack now and keep an eye on the straight stack to the how it changes. Straight stack. Какой такой стек у меня changes? What are you talking about, nigga? А, вот это вот. Метров в секунду? Вот это вот changes? Что changes? Ты собака ебаная. Он показывает, как долго это будет работать? Просто скорость? А где ее? We're almost there. You're doing fine. Maybe not as speedily as someone of my caliber thought. The last thing we're doing to need to do to give this rocket a little better stability to keeps so it keeps going the way we want it to go. We will как архив я потерял. We will achieve this by adding some fins near the bottom of the rocket. Fins can be found in the не просто как называется, in the aerodynamics tab. Set 4. Так. Excellent. We've now got a rocket that will let us reach for the stars. Admittedly, I did say reach for, and this is basic rocket which can achieve orbit. I see. But on the bright side, that means re-entry will also be basic. We've done a great job in building a basic hopper and suborbit capable rocket. Hopefully you've learned a few things about how to build a craft and how to use some of the shortcuts that are in here. Feel free to hang around a bit and try your hand at other things too, or perhaps you could look at the next lesson on suborbital flight, where we will see just how well this rocket performs. Or head over to the science tutorial to learn how to advance your career and unlock more parts. If you could show yourself out of the construction facility with the proper option of the pause menu video. Suborbital flight. Hello again, glad you could make it back. Today we will take an exciting step getting our first Kerbal into space. Yep, with a capital 5 S. Что за? Capital 5, наверное. S. Невротовый, мать. Hopefully you remember the controls we discussed in the basic flight tutorial. You can always play a scenario again for a reminder. If you are ready, let's get started. Your mission today is to make a short suborbital, less than orbital flight out over the water to the east. It's a nice arcing path that ensures a gentle, survivable re-entry. Straight up, then straight down is not so good for survival. Много попиздеть и ближе к телу. I've set up the ping target indicator. Подожди, а у меня... Что он пишет потом? I've set up the ping target indicator on the navball as aim point, but do note that this is not the case for normal missions. The target marker is normally used for other things and does not help with ascents. Starting with the nose pointing straight up on the launch pad or 90 degrees elevation from the eastern horizon. Так, tilt east for 80 degrees elevation on the Malva. Так, значит, сначала надо будет на 80 градусов. Это... А куда? Наверное, вот туда вот. По диагонали направо, да? Думаю, что-то есть. Северо-восток куда-то туда. Тильт East. А, там вот еще East. east 80 градусов это налево, north south east west east налево 80. Понял. И на 50 метрах в секунду. И потом 70 на 250 метрах в секунду. Unlike the hopper in our first lesson, this new craft has liquid fuel engines. This means we can use the throttle to set the output power of the ship's engines. Throttle is controlled by the following buttons. Так, значит, L1 стрелочки, газ больше, тормоз меньше, throttle max, throttle не max. С какого хуя был изначально посередине, тоже интересно. Что-то мне можно try this. Так, now you'll see the inclination upside down along grabs on the lower left side and above. I see SAS stands for Stability Augmentation System, although Kerbal astronauts usually refer to it as sickness avoidance shape. Whatever it stands for, what it does, it is try to stop the ship from spinning around using the computer-controlled auto-torque drive compensator technology to counteract the rotation of the ship. In its simplest mode, it will keep the ship. Я уже заебался, если честно. It will keep the ship aligned with the orientation it has when you turn SAS. In its simplest mode, it will keep the ship aligned with the orientation it has when you turn SAS on, or if you pitch yaw roll while SAS is on the orientation when you release the controls. SAS can be toggled by pressing knowledge. Another way to toggle it would be pressing if you have problems following the maneuvers, once you enable SAS and lift off, you can press L1 to open your SAS mode radial menu. There you can select the target mode at your 9. At your 9. Что значит at your 9? Сука, что это значит? Alternatively, you can use the cursor, press L3 to toggle to press крестик on the small red button to the left enable that has a target indicator. the lower left of all the buttons. Targets. I see. The graph has a bit too much engine, so we're going to throttle down for launch. Set your throttle 2/3. И вот так тогда. The upper for a minimum launch on the slider. Also turn on SAS to help control things. Press 0, it will keep us pointed where you want to be pointed. I mean, during this lesson... Не, давай даже все-таки хуй с ним, я сам попробую порулить. During this lesson, some of the information is quite detailed and could take a while to read. This is a short suborbital hop, and I don't want you to miss anything important. I will place a warning at the top of page where you might want to pause the game to read. The warning will look like this. Warning that Okay, enough talk. I'll unlock the rest of the flight controls and you'll be clear to launch. At any time you may press to pause the game. In the pause menu you can restart the flight or end this tutorial. Target mail. Go with a look to make sure you see it, and then let's get ready. Давай discandle. Double check your throttle. На 50 метрах в секунду начинаю поворачивать, скорее всего, предположительно влево. Excellent work. We got the rocket just where it needs to be in order to reach space. You should be able to let us keep the craft steady for a while as we Okay, great work. You succeeded in getting your ship on a trajectory bound for space. Потерял. I've now set your target блять, пошел нахуй, indicator, не знаю, to align with your velocity vector. You've now set your target indicator to align with your velocity vector. That will minimize drag by turning the smallest side of the vehicle into the airflow. Somewhere around here you will see the nav ball speed indicator auto switch from surface to orbit. Find the speed number jumping. Go ahead and switch it back to surface mode by pressing L3 button to toggle the cursor mode and press Cristic. Normally your ascents would be a little slower, but I'm sure my friend Werner was helped you build a ship that can withstand this heat, and besides this height and this slow, you'll be fine. If you want to have a look of your trajectory, you can switch to the map, press Paladin, or you can also access after the main radial menu. Project Pass. Now that we're coasting our way to approved, that's the highest point on our current projected path. We've got little time to chat. Once you clear the atmosphere, well over that you can do in space. Так, as we near the edge of the atmosphere again, it's time to reorient the pod to get ready for re-entry. We are only going to re-entry with the pod and shoot and go canisters. But we're not going to the couple yet. In real missions, it's best to keep your upper stage around until the last moment. You never know when you might need it. И вот не понимаю на самом деле. Если у меня топливо кончилось, нахуй нам не надо. Anyway, it's best to re-enter bottom first, and since we ascended at about 70 degrees pitch, we'll naturally re-enter at about 70 degrees pitch. Предположим. That means you want to aim the top of the capsule. And that means you want to aim the top of the capsule in the same pitch line but opposite heading. This is and heading this. Вон. А, да ладно, ты после того, как я уронил, что ли? Какого-то звук пропал. You're now re-entering Kermin atmosphere. Make sure to keep all hands and feet inside the pod all times. We don't want... очень смешно. Last time we watched the parachute icon to wait for the right time to open the chute. This time we're going to do something different. Remember in the construction tutorial where you designed? That means the chute won't perform the first of its twin deployment steps until then. Then if you activate it by stating no. конце. Вообще что-то какой-то аутизм вышел. Ну, хотел, чтобы я типа сильно выше, ой, ну, позже раскрыл парашют на 1000 метрах. Бля, я вообще забыл про вторую ступень, там надо было посмотреть хоть когда она там. О, он умеет плавать, интересно. Все, мочок. Ой. Бля, походу я джойстик поднаебнул. For fuck's sake. Где вода, не вижу вообще. Ладно, как... Ага. Так. И... Окей.